called out, has main people, right? He went out, he yelled, he's been sitting there with the sackcloth for the whole day or 2 days or 3 days. It's already out there that there's something going on here. Now, if Haman would have found him on the first second and done it, he may have been able to do it. But now it's not so easy. It's sort of like nowadays that when a government really wants to get rid of a really, really annoying journalist, it's not so easy anymore.
They just do like what Saudi Arabia does and just to secure what the hell he is, just kill him.
So they don't. It's not so simple in the world anymore. When there is a public... Now, there are people who still do it. There are people who still do it, so, who don't care anything.
Well, really, that's not true, because the moment that Haman actually got the king's insignia, Haman has the power of the king.
For sure.
At any point, if he does want to kill someone, he can justify any which way.
That he's going to do it, and he's going to do it. That's what they're going to say to him. Go ask the king to kill him.
No. He could have taken the sword out himself.
Again, he could have. He could have. I'm not saying he couldn't have. He could have done whatever he wants. Haman has and we talked about him having no boundaries either, right? He's from Amalek. He has no problem to do this. It's more of a portraying himself part of it. It's more of a public image problem. Okay? That here, Haman, it's just not as clean. It's just not as clean. It's causing Haman discomfort. In other words, he could do it, and he could portray his image as being the cruel, killer who does exactly what the king said, the assassin, the barber, whatever we said in the past. It could work. But Mordechai, from nothing, has turned the nothing into something. You really have to understand, this is really how things work. He's not a minor nothing, and he's a player already on the board. It just makes Haman think. Okay, this is Vaitapak. He holds it in.
He's afraid. No. Sorry, I was just thinking he's actually afraid.
Okay.
Yeah,
that we'll see in a second. We'll see that really more clearly.
He's becoming so angry and wound up by Mordechai. That tells us if it was as simple as taking a sword and killing Mordechai.
Yafe. So I think there's something. Mordechai is causing Haman great discomfort, right? He gets him angry. He's mitapak. He's throwing him off. He's throwing him off his even keel. He knew what was going on. He's in charge. He's called to the queen. He's almost there. He's almost at the level of the king. And suddenly this guy just doesn't even look at him, right? It's like it's from Igra Rama la Bira Amikta, from the high mountains to the lowest, from the queen to this guy, where everyone's bowing down, right? You have to point, right? And the edict is still there. Everyone's still bowing down to Haman. This guy's just sitting there, sitting there. And he goes ballistic. He really would like nothing more than to chop his head off at the point. But Mordechai has pushed himself into a place where if you kill Mordechai, there's a lot of explaining to do. That's the point. You just have a lot of explaining to do. His political power is enough. It's not great, but it's enough that it's not quite as simple to just slice his head off. He has a power base. It's just not as simple. Okay, we're going to see it's not so unsimple, it seems like, because he's going to, what the Eitzah he's going to get afterwards is to kill him the next day, right? But the way he's going to kill him the next day is not just to slice his head off. And this is what let's go on, okay?
Just a quick joke is that Haman right now is reminding me very strongly of a pregnant woman who's late for her birth. Like, you could sit there and do absolutely nothing wrong either, and she'd be like, he's going to sit there. He looks at you as if, I wish you just die.
No, they're saying someone who's just so frustrated that they're stuck. Okay.
So why didn't
I don't tell this to any pregnant women. What?
Why didn't Haman kill Mordechai the first time he did that?
Well, he didn't know about it at first, right? Remember we saw, he didn't know. He didn't see him directly. He gets told. And then, in his power, he says, I'm going to make an example, right? I'm going to kill all of them. Again, without the Amalek level and without the spiritual levels here. On the political level, he says, I'm going to show my terror. I'm going to show my power. And suddenly, as all very, very powerful people who think they are all powerful, suddenly, Mordechai scares him. Mordechai has somehow developed a power base that he couldn't believe it, that Haman wouldn't believe that he can make this power base, and he has this power base. Again, it's small, it's grassroots, but it's there. So let's go on. So he goes home, and he calls in his loved ones and his wife, and he tells them, right, in Pasuk Yud Aleph in 11, He tells them about his vast riches and his many children, and all the great level he's on in the government, how the king has raised him above all the other ministers. And Haman continues and he says, and not only, I'm the only one who was brought to this feast with the king, just me and the king. And tomorrow I'm also coming with the king. I'm on the highest level of everything that could be imagined. And then he hits us with one of the famous Haman statements. B'chol ze enenu shoveli. B'chol et asher ni ro'et Mordechai Yehudi yoshev b'shar HaMelech. There are psychological and spiritual levels to talk about here, about someone who can never be satiated. Satisfied. He has everything. This guy has everything. He's one level down from the king, but nothing is worth it as long as Mordechai is sitting there. So again, you could go psychologically what it is, but I'm going to go more psychological, political, as we've been doing throughout the Megillah. Haman and all bloodthirsty dictator tyrants, like Hitler, like Stalin, like others, need complete control. This is how they think. This is what they want. They can't deal with anyone not accepting their rule. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Wow, it's not red.
Okay, so welcome back, Shua. Good to have you.
Good to be back.
Is it?
Sorry, it's not good.
So in a sense, we talked about this. There was a midrash. I mentioned it like a month ago. There's a midrash that says, right? It was Nebuchadnezzar Dafka, who says, right? How do you stop the wild crocodile swallowing everything? No one knows how to stop him. And Daniel says, I know how to stop them. He takes one nail and he throws it into the crocodile's mouth. And that nail, even though it's so small and it's nothing to this huge crocodile, it just goes in and deeper and deeper. This is what, in this sense, we were talking about what the Jew does. This is why Am Yisrael is so much of a nail in the insides of every oppressive government forever.
That's why they hate us.
That's why they hate us. Correct? That's why they hate us. It's really why they hate us. Because we say, again, we said this many times in different parts of these lessons, we just say there's a higher power and a higher morality, and we're subject to him and not to you. We don't make idols out of anyone or anything. And Haman can't handle that, right? Asatz mo'aloh. He made himself a god. He cannot handle that. In other words, it drives him up the wall. And this is why he can't handle it at all. So Zeresh.
Imagine if you were in his position.
What?
Imagine if you were in his
Yeah, I could. Poor guy. This one guy is not bowing down to him.
It's an interesting parallel that Haman does this to call the people to himself so that they bow down to him. And Haman, right? And Mordechai also attracts all the people, but it's not about him.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting. Well, he doesn't. Mordechai doesn't attract the people yet. Mordechai right now, he doesn't attract the people. He's making everyone uncomfortable.
With the calling out as well?
They look at him. In other words, he makes them, you can't go like this. This is what Mordechai, you can't play hide and seek here.
Sure.
That's what Mordechai is making them do. They don't like, people don't like being made to not play him. We all like to deny all kinds of uncomfortable truths. We love it.
Ask me anything.
Right? You too?
Ask me anything.
We all like to deny. There are things that are uncomfortable in our life, and that person who comes and points it out, opens up our heart and says, "There," you go, right? It's not so comfortable. But it's important. It's important, and it's important, betach, in the wider world where there are uncomfortable truths about our government, about other governments, about ways things are done in the world. That the Jew at all points says, respect the downtrodden. Ger, Ohev Ger, Hashem, right? It says Ohev Ger, Ohev Almana, Yetom Valmana, Ani, Levi, all the poor people in the world. Hashem says, I'm their back. They're my children. Everyone's my children, but they are I'm really in charge of them. and anyone who fights with them, you're fighting with me. That governments hate that. They hate that.
Yeah, they like to
It's
squash
the easy, right? They like to squash. Exactly. That's the easy thing. It's easy. The easy to squash as many people as we can. That's what they want. That's what a person like Haman, like Achashverosh, that's what they want. They don't want anyone to fight against them.
I think Achashverosh, he doesn't care so much about that as long as they stay out of his way.
But any threat will throw him off, as he's been in the Vashti trauma. So, okay, so Zeresh has a good plan. V'tomer lo Zeresh ishto v'kol avav yasu etz gavoa 50 amah. We'll make a tree 50 cubits high. Ubaboker, and in the morning go to the king, and they will hang Mordechai on it, and come to the king happy, and to the mishteh, to the feast. And Haman thinks that's a great idea. So what exactly is this idea that Zeresh gives him to make the tree? So Zeresh, first of all, we understand, right? This is not a regular execution. Yeah. This tree is very high. Yosef, I think, said this at the end of the last lesson, that 50 amot is 25 meters. We said it's really high, okay? We don't know, it's very high, okay? That you're making a statement, obviously. This is a statement killing. It's not a personal vendetta. It is a statement killing. It's not pulling out his sword and chopping his head off. This is saying, this man, everyone look, this man is dangerous. He's dangerous. And all of you down here, learn what he did and don't do what he did. That's what they're going to say. In other words, what Zeresh says to him, Haman was scared of Mordechai. He was scared of Mordechai. Zeresh says there's no other fight besides straight out destruction, degradation, and annihilating the idea behind Mordechai. If you would have just took your sword off and killed him, then we would have seen he's a martyr. We see that Haman loses control. No. Here, methodologically. Okay, whatever. You guys everyone understands me. Okay, we're going to do this calmly, thoughtful. We thought this out. We're going to kill him officially. And that power, when I do that, says to any power that comes up, we will squash it, not on a personal level, with the power of the king. That's why she says, go to the king and get reshut to do it. Did Haman really need the reshut of the king to do this? Haman has the ring to kill one man. Are you killing me? What?
Why do we think he still has it?
Because they're going to say afterwards that it's moved, that he takes it from Haman and gives it to Mordechai. But he needs this statement to be said from the king. Anyone who does this is going to be killed. And this one point, and Haman likes that. Now Haman says, okay, that frees me from, not frees me like frozen, it frees me like it allows me to do what I want to do, not on the emotional, personal level that he really feels, but turn this into a battle of, return it to his original position. This is what the king brought him for, right? To stop insubordination. Wow, I'm bad today.
Insurrection?
No, insubordination. No, that was the word.
Usurpers.
No, that I've used also, but this one is insubordination. Insubordination, that's how we say it? Subordination.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Good. Beseder. Tov. So this solves Haman's problem. And then we get to the next pasuk, of course. Now we talked about Nadida. We talked about this when we learned what Esther is doing last time. Nadida means not just he couldn't sleep, it means it's going back and forth. The king is going back and forth all night. We talked about all the different things he has to go back and forth here. But this is where Esther's plan has here, this is the shift. In other words, there are different shifts. Remember, we saw different nafochus. We saw the shift in Esther's actions and thought process in Perek Daled, right? She was with the king, and suddenly Mordechai shifts her out of that position. Here's another shift. The king, we saw the king shifting once before from his America empire to the USSR empire. this is the beginning of the shift back. He's going to start, and we'll see it very clearly in how it happens, but the shift has started. He's not as comfortable suddenly in the position he's been. Have I given Haman too much power? What exactly is the queen thinking? Have I lost my own queen in my own house? Shades of Vashti. He's going, it's all flashing back here. He is losing it again.
I feel like he actually gains a new fit, is what really comes out, is because when it says a few times that Esther gained favor in the king's eyes. It says it a few times, So maybe he really took a strong fondness to Esther. It's just that because of what Vashti did to him, he's had to keep her away for so long. This time, all of a sudden now, Esther looks like she's about to be stolen by Haman. This is a whole new fear that I don't think he's experienced before.
Okay, well, we said he loves Esther, right? That was one of the interesting words, right? He really loves her. We said it's the only time love appears in the Megillah, is he actually loves her.
He's got a whole tower full of concubines.
Right, and he hasn't seen her for 30 days. No, it's real love there.
No, but you've been pushing away the
Real
trauma
love.
that was
I understand.
all of a sudden,
Real love.
it's one of those you don't know what you have till you've lost it.
No, I understand. So Yosef, you're saying that there's suddenly when she sees her after those 30 days, it could be, and suddenly he reminds himself how much he loves her, and then suddenly, Haman, what's going on here? All these things. Remember, that's what Eliyahu answered. Remember, this is what's so fascinating about the Midrash, right? When they ask Eliyahu which one was right, and what did he say?
They're both right. Both of them.
Not they're both.
They're
all right, right? Everything is right, okay? And really, I could understand how the king can't sleep. Anyway, so now he says, now he wants to bring Sefer HaZichronot. So it's very interesting what Sefer HaZichronot is, right? You could go in different ways. What exactly is Sefer HaZichronot? So we don't know.
It's almost like a diary.
We don't know. The only thing we know is that he finds something in it that may help us understand what was Sefer HaZichronot, right? What does he find? He finds written that Mordechai told about Bigtan and Teresh, the two guards who wanted to kill him. Okay, that's what he finds written there. That's what he found. Now, they're going through the now. I probably found a lot of things written there. I can't imagine there weren't other things written there.
So I heard that they also found stuff from Vashti, but because it was so painful and everything, and all that happened, that what Vashti did, they decided to skip that.
Well, it might be. It must be a midrash. We don't know exactly what's written in Sefer HaZichronot, but it's interesting. One thing catches his eye.
I heard that when they were flipping pages to go through the Chronicle,
the wind kept pushing it back to that page.
Yeah.
Beseder. All right, so these are midrashim that sort of.
Because it's supposed to be hidden, and that's clearly an act of.
Okay, so for sure.
It is hidden because it says nowhere in the Megillah that happened. That's a bunch of
stuff
that's made up.
1 second.
So when it says
It's a bunch of. It's trying to push us to an idea. Remember, midrashim. All midrashim are pushing us to an idea.
Is this the same book that recorded the hanging of the two guys who planned to kill the king? Because it's written differently, but it's translated in the same way. It says the Sefer Divrei Hayamim.
Right. So here it's Sefer HaZichronot Divrei Hayamim. Here that's what it says in our post. So is it the same? It makes sense that it's the same. These things are written. Okay, you guys hear what David is said here at the end of Perek Bet, right? It says Vayikatev b'Sefer Divrei Hayamim Lifnei HaMelech. That's what it says at the end, Pasuk Kaf Gimel. In Perek Bet, the very last pasuk, it's written in Sefer Divrei Hayamim, and here it also says Sefer Zichronot Divrei Hayamim. So let's take a look here a little bit. Let's see. Rashi here says, "It is the way of kings that when they're sleep deprived, they are told, the people around them tell them stories and fables and parables." Until they're able to go back to sleep. So that's one idea. Rabotenu Amru, and our rabbi said that he started thinking of Haman and Esther, as we said, right? And he says there must be someone who knows what they're thinking, and this is important in Rashi. There must be someone who knows what's going on here. Someone who loves me, that's what he says. Shu ohavi. Someone who really loves me, in the word between ohavi. And will tell me And then he says, V'chazal v'amar, and then he said, Shema asali adam tova. Maybe there's someone out there who did a good turn for me, and I didn't give him back, and therefore they're not telling me again. Maybe I missed someone. Maybe there's someone who really likes me, and I made a mistake, and I didn't repay him. And then what did people learn? No, it's not worth doing good things for the king. This king gets things and he doesn't give back. You could do good things for him and doesn't repay you. It's not worth my while. It's not worth my while to go in with him. Okay? Let's finish up Rashi here. Lefichach, he says, bring me the Sefer HaZichronot. Bring me, maybe Sefer HaZichronot in this sense are all the people who did things for the kings. It's his book. His book that has, he did this and he did this and he did this and he did this. In most of them it says paid in full, was killed, paid in full, assassinated, paid in full. And there's one entry that's blank. That's blank. And he's like, hey, this guy really, why did he do that? He told Esther, oh, it's my queen again. So she's involved here too. But this guy did what he did. I don't know why. Wow, this was someone who really saved my life. And he is someone who really cares about me. Altruistically. Whoa, maybe I should repay him. Two-pronged answers. Maybe I should repay him because maybe he knows more information that may be good. He knew this information about Bigtan V'Ter. She has inside information of the inner workings of the court. He may know what's going on here with Haman. But on a greater sense, on a greater scene, if I repay Mordechai grandly in front of everyone,
anyone who knows anything,
that's what I'll get. Anyone who knows anything will come and run to me.
This is why
That's what I want.
Display
There you go. That's what I want, a grand display. Even though Haman's the one who's going to offer the grand display, but right, Haman's going to be the one to offer it.
But this is what made it sound like a good idea. Because anyone's saying that you want to reward this guy, you should give him your crown. It's like, what did you just suggest?
All right, we're going to get to Haman's megalomania in a minute, but Mordechai, no, but in this sense, this is what the king wants, something like this. No, Haman gives him the perfect answer. But what do you say? This is what the king will do to the man who the king wants to give honor to. Chafetz bikaro, to give honor to. Who does he want to give honor to? To anyone who helps the king. This is what the king says. This is my way to crack the code, to crack the plot. In other words, already at this moment, he has shifted in his relationship to who? To Haman.
Yeah.
To Haman. He has shifted off. Esther has cracked. She had cracked the trust. She's met. She did it. In other words, it's over already in a sense. It is cracked here, and now the king needs help from information from
Mordechai.
From another source. Remember what the king did? Remember at first our king was very open to many different opinions, ideas, advisors. He had the them and the them and Yodei Dat Vedin and the Yodei team, and he had the 7 people who see him and the Sarisim and since Haman has been raised up, we don't get anyone anymore. The king suddenly realizes, 1 second, I've given this guy ultimate power. If he wants to take me down,
he totally can.
I don't know anyone else who's going to help me. This was ridiculous what I did. He needs to break it, and he needs to break it fast.
Before it's too late.
Right? It could be the next day. It could be tomorrow. They want another party. Who knows what's going to happen at this party? It's frightening. So the king asks in verse 3, Vayomer HaMelech Ma nasa yakar ugdula leMordechai al zeh. Right? What has been gone good to them? And suddenly, who do we see? Vayomru na'arei HaMelech lo nasa imo davar. Why is that so important for us? Suddenly, there are other voices again in the Megillah. all the voices that have been silenced for the last 3 prakim, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, suddenly we hear some more voices. Now they just say, Lo nasai modavar, nothing's been happened. But that is important for us to hear. There are other voices in the government suddenly. This was verse 3 in chapter 6. Na'arei hamelech misharatav. Oh, there are other people. Oh, we forgot about them. There are other people around. It means that since Haman has been raised up, we haven't heard any other servants, anyone. There hasn't been anyone going on anymore. Suddenly, here they are. Now, they don't do much, but the Megillah is telling us, the king has taken a step back from the totality of Haman. There are other players in the court. This is what he wants. Besides Mordechai that he needs to repay in order to hear more, he's also listening now to some other things. Okay? Vayomer HaMelech mi b'chatzer. So here we have the great irony, coincidence, I don't know what the right literary term here is, that Haman's coming to tell him to kill Mordechai. And in a sense, the king has already flipped. In other words, he missed him. He missed it by this much. Had he come a little before this, it would have been fine. This is Yad Hashem, right? This is here you have the coincidence of Hashem's planning, the timing video. Yeah.
So in the little version, they had Haman comes right after he did all this. But then in another version I heard, they actually told his advisors to go get Haman, and then Haman came.
So that I think that happens later. So that happens when he brings him afterwards. When he brings him for the mishteh, because the advisors don't come. Haman comes on his own here. Okay. Vayomer mi b'chatzer. Ve'Haman ba lechatzar bet hamelech hachitzona. So the Haman is there in the outer courtyard. Listen to what he says. Le'mor lamelech, to tell the king to hang Mordechai on the tree that he prepared. Lo. For who?
Mordechai.
It could be.
So I know I'm playing games here with the lo. But remember when Esther invited him to the party and said, La mishteh asher echanti lo? And we said, of course he's talking about Achashverosh. And then you're like, wait 1 second. It may be for Haman. It may mean Haman also, right? So obviously it's for Mordechai here. But I think in the backdrop you hear Achashverosh. Who is the lo? Who did you prepare that tree for exactly? And not only that, he comes and he says, right? It's playing the same thing, the lo, right? It's that say the 2 people and lo. So again, it seems like obviously Mordechai here. But what is he coming? He's coming. What is he? Is he asking the king? Look at the words. Look at verse 4.
Now Haman was coming into the outer court of the king's house. Speak to the king about hanging Mordechai on the gallows.
So it's to speak to the king.
Okay. I think it's
Le'mor lamelech, here it says, is to tell the king. To tell. Le'mor is to tell the king. Just like Zeresh said to him,
but le'mor means
Emor lamelech, tell the king.
to say, to speak.
The Megillah really knows how to say ask. They say, Sha'alati ubakashati, Sha'alati ubakashi, Tevakesh me'amelech. Tish'al et hamelech. Tomar lamelech is a different statement. Tell the king.
To inform him.
Even that. Yeah.
Is there a similar ambiguity in the end of chapter 5? It's such a long statement, and when you read it, and it's a little far-fetched, but Ubaboker, Amar Melech, V'yidlu et Mordechai, Allah, Uba im HaMelech. I'm reading it in a different way. I'm reading like, in the morning speak to the king, and like a separate thing, and make sure that Mordechai is hung on the tree. Oh, and when you're speaking to the king, invite him and go with him to the party. So I'm separating the.
And then what do you get from that?
what I'm thinking of is that it's a sort of the same sneakiness that we see all the time in Haman, that he is saying to the, speaking to the king to distract him, and then sending his own people who are all under him. It's a little far-fetched.
Interesting. Trying to, in other words, involve the king in something and then do what you want to do. Okay, it could be.
So
It could be.
say later on that he did say that it's for Mordecai.
Oh, for sure. We know. I'm just saying the pasuk. It reminds us remarkably of that pasuk before, Mishteh Asher Asiti Lo, and there we say the Chachamim related. They say, oh, that lo is not clear who the lo is there, and so again, Asher Hichin Lo raises the same thing. Now, I think Achashverosh. This is viewing. Wait, guys, this is viewing Achashverosh's view also. In other words, who is he preparing this gallow for? Mordechai today. Me tomorrow. Mordechai, who's protecting the king, right? Okay, so now again, he hasn't told the king yet, but this is Haman. The Megillah is showing us the absurdity of the situation.
I have a question on Weinstein.
Yeah.
Does he realize about his law that he made, and like how anyone who doesn't come when they're ordered within 30 days? And Mordechai might be scared of that and realize that law might be over the top.
Wait, which one?
So he made a law that if you're not called to the king, that means you will be killed if you were to see the king, unless.
We're talking about the queen.
Concubines.
No.
No, I mean even citizens as well. If it's citizens,
anyone who comes to see the king who hasn't, anyone, not 30 days, anyone who hasn't.
And Mordechai didn't come to him because of that reason. He wasn't called. So therefore. Would that be something?
Mordechai, Esther didn't come because she wasn't called.
What he's asking is basically, how can he have this thought in his head of, why don't I have any helpful information? He's asking, people can't give him any information.
Right. That's right. You really can't.
Nobody can help him in the first place.
You're right. That's exactly. That's exactly what he did. He made a law that no one could come close to him.
Why didn't he think that? It's like one reason why I don't have.
We said because his lust for power was so, everything the king does, everything we see in the Megillah, the king has done almost has been a reaction to power. To get power, his party to get power. What happened with Vashti, to throw her out into this crazy gzeira of the women. Bigtan and Teresh, which threw him off to search power in a different way, in a different form. And now, again, the thought of losing power sends him reeling back the other way. That's exactly what he's going to say here. Not only that, Haman walks into the king's courtyard in the middle of the night, or the very early morning. We're not sure, right? Zeresh tells him to come in the morning. The king can't sleep. Where does this meet? What hour of the day do they meet here?
The witching hour.
We don't know. I mean, it could be. It's apparently very, very early in the morning or very, very late at night. It's somewhere in between.
It sounds like to me that it's still dark time, still late at night.
I also think so. I think it's sort of like dawn, mamash dawn.
Just to me that it would be late at night, but it would have started in the early hours when Haman had come over. For example, there's a few things that like hints this. One thing, the king had to go to sleep. Whatever time that was probably at night time. He tossed and he turned and he tossed and he turned, and then he had a story read to him, and then he decided to go look up the chronicle, and then he decided to go reward a guy, and then he spoke to his ministers, and then Haman came over. Haman was also arranging the tree to be prepared for Mordechai, and he was making his way to the king. Haman would not go disturb the king late in the night to say, "I've prepared a tree to kill someone." Something tells me I don't think Haman was doing that on a regular basis.
So first of all, I agree with you. I don't think he's been doing.
He was
coming like the first hour. He has the first appointment.
Exactly.
The first appointment. So it could be. I think the picture being portrayed here is it's not clear. Haman is coming. It doesn't say baboker. It should say baboker. We would sort of expect it because that's what the Zeresh told him. Baboker, he says very clearly, go in the morning to come, and we only have balayla we haven't reached the boker yet. The text doesn't give us the boker.
If it says balayla, then that means it must be at night still.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's being, the Megillah is being cryptic on purpose. In other words, it's giving us a picture of Haman's really feeling comfortable here. He's very comfortable, coming at not the regular hours, and he's coming to tell the king to hang Mordechai, and he has lost it, Haman. In his, as we're going to see again in two psukim, he has lost it. He really thinks he is on the same level as the king.
Walking around
He,
the palace
he
like a king.
exactly, like he owns the place, the
In a sense,
palace, the
he's
place.
got-
Yeah.
he's got
What?
more power than the king, whether the king realizes it or not.
Oh.
And he realizes
Oh,
Haman
exactly.
totally
So
realizes
Haman understands that he's this far away from the king.
He's got more power because
Well,
at the end
he's-
of the day, it's better to not be that he didn't.
And it says the king's hiding in a room, and Haman's the one who's out taking care of business.
Lord Weinstein. So if Haman had more power than the king, then why is he asking the king permission?
So he's not asking the king.
Just telling him, it's like,
Telling
hey, I
him.
got I'm hanging
That's what it says.
See ya.
Both Zeresh and him.
Yes.
Zeresh says Emor lamelech, and he says Lemor lamelech. He coming to tell the king. In a sense, he has the king in his, but the king
Basically,
for him is a rubber stamp.
And when he says, hey, I'm going to go kill Mordecai, see ya, all of a sudden King Ahasuerus is like, no, you're not.
Well,
you're going to stay right
he
there.
doesn't. He
You
doesn't.
can't just say that.
He doesn't manage
You
to
have
say it.
You have to permission from me.
Wait, Ezra, he doesn't manage to get it out. Wait, he doesn't manage to get it out. So let's just see now what happens, okay? All right, but this is the situation here is this situation of the king. Now you have to understand the king is completely not there anymore. Haman is in a prior world that was just changed a couple hours ago, but it's completely different. It's a whole new world. But Haman is still in the old world of thinking these are the Yachasei Kochot. He's in charge. The king trusts him completely. He just has to tell the king what he wants, and that's it. But it's not. So again, Na'arei HaMelech, we see them in verse 5. Vayomru HaMelech elav, hinei Haman omed bechatzer. And the king says, perfect. You have to see, like, the king is a lion waking up, okay, rising from his sleep. And he says, Yavo, right? Good. Just the man I want to see. What a coincidence that this guy is here. And now you have to read the sentence here. Every word here is a test. Every word here, the king says, this is not a, how do you say tamim? Tamim.
Tamim, the taste?
No, tamim. Tam.
Tam, the sugar.
An innocent. This is not an innocent question, what he asked Haman. He's not a question on Mordechai as much as it's, I want to hear what Haman says to this question. What do you do to a man who the king really likes? And the king understands Haman's thinking. He knows, Haman says in his heart, who could the king want to do more than me? Because no one exists in the king's world besides me. You have to understand Haman's heart. And I'll read it again. Right? Vayavo Haman, vayomer lo HaMelech, this is verse 6. Haman comes, the king says to him, what should I do? Ba'ish asher HaMelech chafetz bikaro. And Haman says in his heart, who can the king want to do good for more than me? And he's right. The poor guy was right up until a couple hours ago. He was. You could say, "Sir, you could I pity him, Haman." In other words, he just missed the boat by this much. He was right.
It's his wife's fault, too. If he hadn't bothered putting up those stupid trees.
It could have been done already. But guys, just listen though. Really, you could understand Haman. At first, you're like, why is Haman thinking this? What is he crazy? He's not crazy.
They don't know what to do.
Wait, Ezra, you have to understand, Haman was right. He was correct in this understanding. In the world before, there was only one man before the king. There was no one else. Who else could it be? And then he says, well, what's left for him to go? Where is it left for Haman to go up? Right? And this is exactly what he's saying. If it's me, I already have your ring. I already have complete control of the whole country. I have your authority to do whatever I want. Well, what's left? And then he goes out to this crazy delusion of grandeur, right? And he goes, Yaviu levush malchut, clothes of royalty that the king wore. V'sus asher achav alav hamelech, and a horse that the king rode on. Ve'asher nitan keter malchut berosho. Now, one thing you could read here, and everyone goes bananas on this, and put a crown on his head. Now, there's a very interesting perush that goes like this. Well, let's take a look. What happens, right? Then it goes. Look at verse 9 right afterwards. So, what are you going to do with this guy? Venatona levush ve'asus. Now, give the clothes and the horse to one of the king's ministers, and they will dress the man, and they will put him on a horse, and take him throughout the city streets, and yell before him, and call before him. This is what the king will do this is what they will do for a man who the king wants his honor. What's missing in the te'ur, in the description of what they're going to do for him? There are three things he says. Bichora, right? Haman gives no. What does Haman say to do? He says, clothes, dress him,
ride the horse,
ride a horse, and the crown's missing. It's interesting. So there are perushim, which I think, after looking at this, the crown's missing. In other words, he says, right, dress, horse, crown. And then when Haman himself continues to say, and then you shall dress him and put him in the horse, he says it twice.
It doesn't mean crown isn't a physical crown, it means give him the kingdom.
So it could be. It could also be the crown was on the horse. The king's horse had a special designation as the king's horse. If you read the Hebrew, it sounds Ve'asher nitan keter malchut berosho shel mi? Shel asus. Ve'sus asher achav alav hamelech ve'asher nitan keter malchut berosho of the sus. Okay? This I've seen. Now it could go, you know what? It doesn't really make that much of a difference, but you could say Haman was not crazy. In other words, he was megalomaniac, but he wasn't stupid. I don't know what to say. I mean, he's as close to stupid as you could get here.
Delusional.
Right, he wasn't delusional. He was as close to delusional as you can be, but he's not completely delusional. He doesn't ask for the crown. Yeah.
So would this be the start of Haman's downfall?
No, that started before.
Well,
it started the minute Esther started his downfall. Yeah, this is the part where the king understands 100% that his suspicions are correct. This is where the king knows that the suspicions caused by Esther now are correct. Haman proves to him that he's right. Right? The king suspected him now already after what Esther did. Now he proves to him that that he wants to rule. This is what he was afraid of.
But isn't the king also right now not trusting Esther because
he may not be trusting Esther either.
Yeah.
You know, I would say possibly that when they were in the second feast, there were guards all over the place. I would not, it doesn't say it, but I would picture that he's not comfortable, and he's not sure who is in on the plot. Is it Esther? Is it Haman? Is it both of them? Are they players in a larger? He doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't know. He just doesn't know. He's very scared.
So when Esther asked both Haman and Ahasuerus to the party, that started the downfall?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's her plan. That's exactly the plan. That is the plan. That's the genius of Esther. Again, remember we said, according to some of the Shitot, she's committing suicide.
Yeah, right.
Right? She's committing suicide. She understands what she's doing, and she's willing to kill herself to save the Jews. Yeah.
Interesting. I couldn't help myself but read on a little bit more.
What?
But it does say it in clear words that the king says Mordechai the Jew, as in do all this that you've said, do it for Mordechai the Jew. And all of a sudden the king recognizes that Mordechai's Jew. Isn't this the people he's just made a decree to turn into slaves?
Okay, so we're always not sure on that question if the king knew who the nation was that he just decreed. Right? Remember the Malbim, you're a Malbim, right? Nobody knows who is going to be killed. Right? And Haman's first of all, the king doesn't know anyone's going to be killed.
That's one suggestion.
No, for sure.
The king is innocent in his idea of who this nation is.
Right. On the other hand, yes, but the king doesn't see things quite as general. There's this guy, Mordechai the Jew, who is fine. He's good. He helped me. Does that mean the rest of the nation are so good? We're going to see this so powerfully. If you read 2 chapters ahead, and you got to chapter 8, the king doesn't bring back the decree.
Yeah. No.
Which is wacko. He knows the king and the queen are Jewish.
You mean he knows
He's gonna know soon both the king and that both Mordechai and Esther are Jewish, and he still doesn't do anything about it. In other words, it's not so simple. The fact that even some of the horrible Nazis had their Jewish doctor. Oh, he's okay. No, this Jew is okay. This Jew's good. Oh, but all the rest of them could kill them all.
But that still contradicts the Malbim so hard. Is that very point of the fact that no matter how good these Jews are being to him and how much he appreciates them, in whatever way he's willing to reward them, he has no intention of rescinding an order that's been sent.
Right. Well, when we get there, we'll have to see why he doesn't rescind the order. Okay, we'll have to see when we get there.
It's easier if we just get rid of them.
Of who?
The Jews.
Maybe. It may be Achashverosh's thinking. Okay, but let's continue. We'll see when we get there. Yeah.
Would this be the point where Haman starts to realize he's losing now?
No, Haman. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, once he's gonna say, go to Mordechai.
He's never been told, I'm gonna give
for
to someone
exactly.
So Haman's now like,
exactly.
What?
For sure, Ezra, you got it exactly right.
Now he's scaring Haman.
Yes, for sure.
Now once he's scaring Haman, he's giving it someone else honor that he hates so much.
Right.
If there's one person we wouldn't want honor to, it's Mordechai. He doesn't care for some.
Even though we're not sure,
just not Mordechai. What does the king do? Give it to Mordechai.
Even though, Ezra, I remind you, I'm not sure the king knows anything about the personal battle between Mordechai and Haman. I don't believe he knows that. In other words, we, the readers, see the irony in this. We see how ridiculous this is. We see how the king is embarrassing him, but the king embarrassed him on his purpose, one level, in that he's going to do this. I mean, it's a complete embarrassment what he's doing to Haman. He's taking him and throwing him down to earth, right? You're going to take the other guy. It's Chazal embellish this till the utmost. He gets down on his feet, right? He says to Haman, he comes to Mordechai. He says, Mordechai, get on the horse. He says, I can't. So Haman goes down on his hands and knees, and Mordechai steps on him and goes up. Because the position here is true. What Chazal, they're taking Haman, and Achashverosh is doing it and shoving his face in the dirt. This is what he wants to do to him. The fact that it's Mordechai is the joke we're in on, not the king. Okay? The king isn't in on this joke.
He is to a tiny little extent. Because in the Sefer Zikronot, it says Mordechai Yehudi. And he knows that Haman has already decreed for Yehudim to be killed.
If he does.
That's the whole point of the Rabbi just said. That is contestable, that he doesn't necessarily know. Haman has
You missed the Malbim, sure.
It said that Haman has gone to the king and said that there's a nation within your land that is dispersed and yet separated, and this and that.
Nobody knows that the people that are attacking is the Jews until they read the letter on Adar 13.
So all this is possibilities, okay? Shada, you're gonna have to tell. Sure, you didn't do your homework. Sure, you didn't do your homework in LA. You were, I don't know, you're out. I don't know what you were doing in LA. Not learning the Megillah every day. That's what we. They would. Okay, tough. Let's continue, guys. Come, we're moving ahead. We said we have to finish chapter 7 by Tuesday. We have to at least get through the basic story of the Megillah. No, we have to do chapter 8 and chapter 9 too. But let's go. Okay. Okay, so right, so that's what he says. This is what should be done. Take him through. This is what the king will do. Asher HaMelech Chafetz Bikaro. Again, Haman is obviously projected here. In other words, even if it's not the crown, okay, it is known in halacha. It says in halacha, the Rambam brings in Sanhedrin, that you can't ride on a horse that the king rides on. You can't wear the king's clothes. You can't. There are a lot of can't, and you can't take a king's wife.
Right, no one can. That was the whole thing we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and no one can take the king's wife. So what does Haman say? I want your clothes. I want your horse. I may want your crown too, however you read it.
I've already got your ring.
And I may already have your wife too.
Right.
And I may already. This is the king reading this. He says, I don't need your wife because I already have her.
Wow.
No, really, this is, you have to understand you could just look at Achashverosh looking at him, and he's like, wow, how have I been so blind?
I've given this man
Right,
power.
again,
I've given
ultimate
this man
power, complete power.
a ring. What's it called? He may have my wife. What else does he want?
Exactly right. And this is what he asked for. He asked for all the things that show my power. He wants to take them. And then he goes, right. Quick, take the clothes and the horse, just as you say, and do this to Mordechai, the Jew, who sits in the king's gate. Al tapel davar mikol asher dibarta. Don't miss one thing of everything you've said. But he says the word tapel, which is an interesting word. Al tapel comes from the word to fall. Nafal. Right? We're going to see at the end of this chapter, in a couple of psukim, 2 psukim hence.
I thought you were going to go to tell. It means like from your mouth.
No, it's not. It's tapel. It comes from the word lipol. Al tapel davar mikol asher dibarta. He's already bringing into the discussion here, we're falling. And that's what Zeresh is going to say to him. If you have started to fall before Mordechai, then surely you will fall. She says, Nafol tipol. Let's read it. Just move 2 psukim ahead. 1 second. 2 psukim ahead in verse 13. He tells Zeresh everything that happened to him, all these horrible things. Vayomru lo chachama v'Zeresh ishto. His wise men and Zeresh, his wife, says, if Mordechai is from Zerah HaYehudim, is he from the Jewish people, that you have started to fall before him, you will not be successful because you will nafol tipol 3 times. You will fall in front of him. But who started this falling? Achashverosh started the falling. Al tapel davar mikol asher dibarta. Don't drop anything. Don't lose anything, because you're about to lose a lot more than this. You're about to fall.
So,
don't let anything drop here, because your drop is what I'm interested in.
Would this be Hashem's hint?
You're going down.
Would this be Hashem's hint to Haman, like, hi, you're losing badly now.
Yep.
Have fun.
It's the king. It's Achashverosh. It's everyone. Yeah. Aman understands it too.
Because even when Esther did the feast and everything and all that, Haman was still high. He wasn't low.
Oh, he was a complete high.
Yeah.
He says that it was only me. It's only that.
Granted, that could be the start of his fall, but here he went from like going on a slight tilted hill to a going straight
a roller coaster.
Don't stop.
Roller coaster.
This roller coaster ride has no end to it.
That's correct. And again, from this moment on, Haman's not going to have any say here anymore, right? He's not going to be talking anymore. Haman's
still invited to the feast.
1 second. Well, we'll see when he gets to the feast and how he gets to the feast. But yeah.
I think we see even more Lipol, because we see Lefanav being repeated, and if we switch the letters, we have actually Lipol, but with the nun that disappears. Right?
Okay, this is our Idrashat. Nafol, right? Also, and then Ashrei, right? That says, right? Nafla lo tosifkum, right? In Ashrei we don't have the nun, right?
That's right.
In Ashrei, when you say Ashrei, you don't have the nun, because the nun is nafol. Nafol lo tosifkum. It's from a pasuk that they don't want to mention. Nafol lo tosifkum. That's the midrash that the Gemara says. And then the nun may be a nefilah. I'm sorry, what?
They incorporated it in a different different line. I remember my friend Yishai Lister used to talk to me about this. I can't remember. He literally studied this.
They don't incorporate it in. What they do is they talk about in the next line Hashem raising them up.
Well, again, one of the things we said, remember, one of the interesting things we said, when Chazal were talking about what Esther is trying to do, they quoted a pasuk in Mishlei, which is Lifnei Shever Gaon. Before the break comes a great lift-off. In other words, for evildoers, there's they have to raise them up before they fall. And here Haman is really in his mind, he's like stretching for the final fruit. The final. He's almost there. And
boom! He falls straight down the bottom.
Splash. Yalla. Pasuk Yudalef. Vayikach Haman et alvush v'tasus ve'albesh et Mordechai.
The ladder just went right under him and everything and all, and he would go
straight down.
Yeah.
So again, guys, look. Vayikach Haman et alvush v'tasus is verse 11. Haman takes the clothes and the horse, and he dresses Mordechai, and he puts him on the horse in the city town, and he just as he said. Vayikra lefanav. There's no crown. I just remind you. In other words, if he was told to not do anything, well, it doesn't seem like there's a problem. You could say he didn't put the crown on. Again, the crown seems to be only mentioned once, and not in all the other repetitions, which strengthens what we said about the crown being the horse's crown as opposed to the crown. So, and Vayashuv Mordechai el Shara Melech. Mordechai returns to Shara Melech, and Chazal say he returns to his sackcloth. As Mordechai, this is interesting. Mordechai doesn't say, that's it, everything's great, we're done. Mordechai understands that the battle, this is just a small battle in the larger war. He understands there's been a shift. Obviously, he's been taken through with Haman. Haman has led him through the city. He obviously understands how ironic this is and how unique what's happening here. But he goes right back to where he was. And he continues his cry. But when he Vayashuv Mordechai el Shara, it's a fascinating sentence. It doesn't make any sense either. We don't care what Mordechai does. Now, really, he's not the story. The story is Haman, who we're going to see in a second. Okay? Haman goes home, Haman gets told, Haman gets taken to the king's court. Mordechai is not important for us here. That half a pasuk in verse 12, Vayashuv Mordechai el Shara HaMelech, shows Mordechai saying, no. Now I must return, because now my cry will be heard by many, many other people. Why is my cry going to be heard from many other people now?
Because you've been advertising.
Because the knives are out. Because now the knives come out.
Because they see that Haman is touching.
There we go. All up until now, Haman, everyone bows down. In other words, you risk your life to say. And now the guy who didn't bow has been honored by the guy. In other words, everyone now understands it's shifted. Taking him into the city. Who else went into the Rechov?
Everyone.
One other
Jews.
Who went into the Rechov? The Jews outside, but in Shushan, who went into the Rechov?
People that had to bow to Haman.
Mordechai went out to the Rechov. Remember? When he goes out to the street. His cry was to say, everyone has to hear this. He cries in the street, and then he goes to Shara Melech. Now he's been taken to the street, and he comes to Shara Melech. It's the same. But now he comes with Haman's downfall to say, and now everyone looks at him and says, you know what, I always liked that Mordechai guy. This is really what they say. That Mordechai may have something. You know what he said before? That may be right. Haman may really be overdoing it. Everyone, do we have any dirt on Haman? Do we have any ways?
The whole time.
What?
That's what we've been saying about the Jews the whole time. Like when we started this, we were saying about how, in the beginning, we already know, because we know the story of Purim, that that Mordechai is the good guy. But back then, they were not on his side. They were harsh on him. They were against him. They were saying he's a Binyanite. He's not. Is he a Jew? He's not a Jew. He's in Shushan. What is he doing? And now all of a sudden, this is the switch.
The shift for everyone else and the shift for the Jews, correct?
I would
Suddenly.
like to know, though, if, according to what Ezra said, and I don't know about the validity of it or not, but providing it's valid, that they didn't even know they're killing Jews until the 13th of Adar, how did Mordechai know?
Actually, prophecy.
That's what the Malbim says. So the Malbim says Hashgacha. No, I'll tell you how Mordechai knew in the way we know. Because Mordechai is a master politician.
That wouldn't explain how he knows.
Sure it does.
He has his connections.
He has his connections. No.
The literal way.
No, really. No, really. It's Right. Mordechai yada et kol asher nasa.
What it said.
Mordechai. No, it's not a joke. I mean, in the way we're reading it, that would be the way to explain it. In other words, Mordechai has political. Just how do you know about Bigtan and Teresh?
Stages of that time turning up to Mordechai. Mordechai, how did you know what was
You're using the midrash. You can't use the midrash when you want to not use the midrash. No, Mordechai knows things. Mordechai. That's what you have to understand. It's a deep statement, guys. You're laughing too much. It's a deep statement. Mordechai. This is Mordechai's world. Mordechai's world is saving the Jews politically. That's what he did. Right? We said it wasn't so mainstream what Mordechai is doing, but that's his belief, and he's really involved. He's a good politician. He's involved. Now he's gotten bashed by different parts of his act of saving the things to do Tanteresh led to Haman's ascension. So it didn't always work the way he wants, but he's always out there trying to reap benefits from whatever he can, and he has a lot of information from a lot of different sources. But now we've just shifted. Mordechai suddenly has become from person non grata, right? He's become to a person who is the king likes. He's the only one the king likes, and Haman is down. Haman is not the one he likes because he's the one leading Mordechai. I mean, you have to get into Haman's mind to show how embarrassing this is, how humiliating this is, what Haman is, and what everything Haman has. Okay, so let's go on. So Haman gets kicked, right? Haman nidchaf el beito, is pushed to his house. Mourning and chafui rosh. Chafui rosh, he was, says that the Gra, he was embarrassed how a great man, the second in command, is so, well, he says is a barber, is a pashut barber, but we'll say is a leading a horse in leading a horse in this. It's just so he is mourning. Again, avelut is an interesting statement, right?
Okay.
Avelut, avel v'chafui rosh at the end of pasuk Yud Bet. Haman goes home. Nidchaf el beito. He is pushed, dragged to his house. Nidchaf is pushed. That's what it means. Avel v'chafui rosh. He's mourning and covering his head, covering his face, covering his head. We're going to see later is pnei afam chafu. We're going to see the same term soon. He understands that he is. Who is he mourning? Himself, right? Obviously, he's mourning himself. Who is he mourning? He's not mourning Mordechai. He's mourning himself. In other words, he has already divined, even if he hasn't really thought it out, where this is going. In other words,
then that's the point where you stand the tallest, not the hunched overest.
Oh, right. But he's...
You gotta use what little time
you do. You're right. But he has no time. And as he gets home, and this is exactly what's going to happen, the next pasuk, Odam Medabrim, in pasuk Yudalid, the last pasuk in the parak, is they're still speaking, and the king's servants come to take him. In other words, he has no time. You're right. He would need, just give me time to rethink what to do. But not only does he not have time, suddenly he meets Zeresh. The only thing he has time to do is he talks to Zeresh. He tells Zeresh and his loved ones everything that happens. And they say his wise men and Zeresh, which is also fascinating.
Yeah, why has he got wise men?
No, it's so great.
Zeresh is on the same level as Weinstein.
No. He tells Zeresh, his wife and his loved ones, and who talks to him? His wise men and Zeresh.
Yeah.
Where'd the loved ones go?
They are one and the same.
They don't love him anymore. That's exactly what happens. Who are his loved ones?
The ones that loved him.
The ones that I loved you when you were here. But they just flipped from Ohavav to Chachamav. Now they're already his wise men. They don't love him anymore. Because everyone is in, they realize that to be Haman's loved ones is not the best idea right now. We'll be your wise men, but they took a large step back. Large step back. Okay? It's important just to see in the words how it just flipped. It says, Vesaper le ishto ulohavav, and they answer him, Vayomru lo. What would he expect? Ohavav is Zeresh ishto. They disappeared, Ohavav. It's important. This is what's happening. They take a step back. But even his wife here says again, and this is the other, I would say almost spiritual, theological statement in the Megillah. There aren't that many in the storyline. We said the major one, of course, is Mordechai's direct statement to Esther: "You can't hide, and there will be the Jews will be saved." We said this amazing theological statement. This is another one. This dafka comes from Zeresh. This comes from a very not expected source.
It's just, I was going through, and I think I'm taking like a step back here.
Good, also with the people there.
No, I'm taking a step back.
Okay.
What we saying about Haman having to beg Mordechai and everything. I didn't see that anyway.
Beg Mordechai?
Yeah, he had to beg. Haman had to beg Mordechai to get on the horse.
No, I said that's a midrash.
It's all
Oh yeah, for real. I'm saying but the midrash.
That line of Haman getting Mordechai on the horse is this small. It's Haman got Mordechai on the horse.
No, for sure. That's why I said the midrash really makes a long story out of it. Right. Very, very. Everything. I'm not getting. I am getting. I can't. My back hurts. Like it's Mamash makes it. But it's all that part. What I said is all midrash. But again, the midrash is really showing the embarrassment. You know, just how embarrassed can we make Haman feel here? Let's show the whole picture. But they're flushing out the heart of the story. Now, you reading this story, you should realize, you should stop here for a moment and understand just how humiliated Haman is. We're gonna do as much as we can. Okay? So yeah.
So did it say that Haman met Mordechai at the gate?
No.
No, because I'm pretty sure there might be Meforshim that Mordechai was learning that
Yeah,
day.
for sure.
And Haman met him in the middle of it.
We talked about it.
And Mordechai actually didn't know what he was there for. He thought
And
he was there
he tells everyone to run away.
But then all of a sudden,
so we learned this midrash.
Haman's actually treating him nice and everything.
We learned this midrash when we learned the shir, the kesher between Megillat, Esther, and Ezra. That's when we learned that midrash, and we said that Mordechai was dealing with the Bet HaMikdash, right? The kometz, the Ilchot Mincha.
Right.
And we said that is in the deeper sense what Chazal are saying, that Mordechai's belief in the rebuilding of Beit HaMikdash is really what holds against Haman's trying to cause them to despair. But that is on a different level of explanation. We talked about the Megillah having many different levels of explanation. That was on a different level of explanation. Let's come back to us here, okay? So they say give me a translation of verse 13, okay?
If Mordechai before whom you have begun to fall is of Jewish descent, you will not prevail against him, but will undoubtedly fall before him. That's what Zeresh has just told.
Yeah. Well, again, we said in the Hebrew it's much worse. There are three nafals there, right? Nifol lefanav, nafol tipol lefanav. 13, right? And the fanav, you're going down. Why is she so certain? And why does it have to do with the fact that he's a Jew?
Well, maybe she married a Jew in a different restaurant.
In different Gilgul.
Limpol,
She ended up
nafol,
with Haman, so
tipol.
she definitely went down.
So there's limpol, nafol, tipol.
It's a lot of nefilot in one pasuk.
Yeah.
I think it's Zeresh taking a look at the facts and not looking at it as coincidence. You're going to tell me it just so happens that Mordechai, who has not been standing up to you, who has not been bowing down to you this entire time, is now the one that you have to parade around, and he's going to be, and you're telling me he's of Jewish descent as well? You're saying
Zeresh knows the story. If the Malbim doesn't know the story, Zeresh knows the story, right?
Yeah.
Zeresh knows who this decree was against. You're saying it's too coincidental to believe that there's no meaning to this. This is by the stars, right? If it's Mordechai who you were trying to destroy, you're obviously going down, right? That's definitely makes sense in that sense. It's too crazy. This must mean something. But in our wording, I want to say, in the way we explained it, that Zeresh, understanding what the Jews represent, says if their voice is heard, if their voice receives, the Jewish voice, receives contemplation, receives someone who's willing to think about it, it is an exact opposite to your worldview. It's you or him. They don't work together. And your worldview of the control, of the evil, of the no borders, right? That's the Amalek's zero red lines,
EU, right?
really lines. What?
The EU is modern day Amalek. No borders.
That's not what I meant. No red line was the word. Sorry, not no borders. No red lines. You have no nothing you wouldn't do. The Jews are exactly the opposite. They have red lines that are higher than their own kings.
They have everywhere.
They have red lines everywhere. That's correct. And that have that are higher. And the king himself. And the king himself is subject. The Jewish king is subject to all these red lines. He can't do whatever he wants. In other words, it is exactly the opposite. You and the Jews are opposite, theoretically, religiously, understanding the way the world works. If he goes up, you go down. Up until now, you were going up. We were all with you. But when that flips, if you start falling, it's going the other way. Tov, they're still talking to him, and the Sarisei HaMelech, again, more subjects, or more people involved here already. Sarisei HaMelech higiu. Vayavhilu, right? He's nidchaf. You have to listen to the wording. He was pushed into his house, and now he's pulled. Vayavhilu is they scared him, they frightened him. But like the frightened sound like huh. But bihala is a very quick, unordered, disorderly movement, right? They come and they bring him out, and they bring him to the Mishteh Asher Asta Esther, right? Haman comes from Mordechai to here, to being told by his wife that he's going down, there's no time. So he said he needed the time, right? No time. And now he's being brought before the king. How different...
He's being brought before the king in the worst shape possible.
Exactly.
All smelly.
How different is the first party to the second party? It's amazing. It's amazing. It's one day. One day has passed. It's from party one to... This is what Esther has done.
She needed just that one moment of...
this is what Esther has done.
And now all of a sudden she's got all the room she needs.
Right.
She can say whatever they want. Haman is someone who isn't even, nobly presentable in the room right now.
And that's why she'll be able to say it at the second party, and she wasn't able to say it the first.
He was a strong figure in the first party.
No, right, exactly. So now she can say it. Ish tsar v'oyev Haman hara hazeh. She'll say, pointed right at him, because until then, he was untouchable, and now not only is he not untouchable, he is quite touchable, right?
Well, not only that, the king was looking to get rid of he was looking in Haman in a bad light now. Now Esther is also looking like Achashverosh's opportunity, because now Achashverosh can use whatever she says, use it as an excuse to get rid of Haman altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Haman was made too powerful.
For sure.
He needs an excuse.
For sure. I mean, he may have used the excuse beforehand, but correct. Again, and that's what he's going to say at the end. Hagam lichvosh et malka imi babayit. Right at the end, when he falls on the bed. Well, let's see in a second. Yeah.
So if she were to say at the first meal that Haman was trying to kill her people and everything, the king wouldn't believe it.
That's right.
Same with the second meal.
Well, he may. We don't know how he would react. Esther wasn't sure enough that he would react. The king could react. I'll give you an options of what the king could react. The king can react and say, Esther, you're my pretty wife. Let me and Haman handle government issues, and you be pretty in the pictures. That's what he could have told her. That's one that she doesn't know, and that would be the best thing he would say to her, possibly. Yeah. The worst is that
you're a spy.
You're a spy. You're meddling. You're like Vashti. You want power. Whoa! We don't want this. That's the real problem, right? Whoa! The queen won something. Oh, now the queen's going to be again on his side. This guy is hurting your interest. He wants to kill me. He wants to kill my people. Mordechai Yehudi, who wants to do good for you. This guy's crazy. I'm here to save you, my king. The exact opposite of Vashti. He's like, Esther, you're dead. right? I mean, this is what he's going to do. This is what he's going to do. But the difference was huge. It was huge between the first party and the second
And
party.
then, so the third one is that if she did that when she like put it out that he was like gonna like kill her people and everything. No, he totally believed it because of all the signs of Haman.
Well, he could have said, she probably could have said anything about Haman at that point, and he would have believed it. But let's go on. Let's see it. It's the next chapter. We're actually pretty good. We have 5 minutes, so we can do at least the beginning of Perek Zayin, and this is great because Be'ezrat Hashem on Tuesday we'll be able to do Perek Chet, which is in my mind one of the most shocking parts of the Megillah. Perek Chet is like for the older kids. Okay.
What exactly happens to Zeresh? We never discussed that.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. No.
The Malbim was clearly a big fan of prophecy. Doesn't mention anything.
I have not seen what happens to Zeresh. No, I don't think the Malbim relates to it. But let's not be mizalzel in the Malbim either. So you have to read. You have to hear it. He has interesting stuff. The Malbim. It was actually a good pirush. We're actually going to meet it here on the tail end of the statement. So they come to drink with Esther Hamalka. It's also an interesting te'ur, right? What does she say when she invites? She comes to Lavola Mishteh Asher Aselahem, right? Come to the feast. It doesn't usually say lishtot. It's sort of an interesting term. If I'm not correct, for sure, but they always use the word mishteh. Right? Okay. The word lishtot is not quite as common here as before. Right? So Amelech ve'aman lishtot im Esther hamalka. They come to drink with the queen. I think it's just an interesting use of word. Lo limishteh asher asta lahem hamalka. Right? They're going to drink with the queen. Now there are different things I have. I'm this is a complete midrash of mine. So there, but lishtot. There in the Tanakh, there are two different kinds of things that people drink. There is a victory drink and there's a mourning drink. It's called the bitter drink, the drink of, and I think each one of them is coming to drink something else today. Hamelech va'aman lishtot im Esther hamalka. They're both coming to drink, but we're getting hinted to. They're going to drink a different cup. They're both. It's not a mishteh. It's not a party. They're coming to drink. Each one is about to receive their drink, but each one is a different drink. The king says to Esther on the second day, at the mishteh yain. Here it's again the mishteh. What is your question? And what is your request? Ad chatzia malchut. Remember, we said before, she'ela is always personal. Bakasha is a more general term. We say it again and again, right? There's she'elati ubakashati. It's not the same thing, and that's what she says. V'tan Esther malka v'tomer matzati chen beinecha. Always the preferred way to speaking to the king. If I have found favor in your eyes, and it is good before the king, tinaten will be given to me my soul. My nafshi, right? My life with my request, b'sheilati, my question, or my
Sheilati is a question.
Ve'ami bevakashati. It's not a question though. Sheilati is also a request. It's just it's a personal request and a greater request. Ve'ami bevakashati, and here it also divides up easily. Nafshi b'sheilati, ve'ami bevakashati. By the way, which is the king going to answer? Is he going to give her whatever she wants? No, what does he give her?
Up to half the kingdom.
No, what does he give her?
He gives her a ring.
No, what does he give her? He gives her she'elata. He saves her.
Mm-hmm.
What about Ami?
No.
That's why I said chapter 8 is so important. What happens to the people? We don't hear about that part. And we're going to see that it gets very complicated afterwards. But that's what she asked, right? As the king knew there was a she'ela and a bakasha, he knew there were two things. Ma she'elatech Esther malka uma bakashatech. He knows there's two parts here. She would not have risked her life if there was not something very, very personal and more than personal. As he understands, she is involved in something. She's risking her life for something. It was not to ask to to have a mishteh with him. He's not that dumb. Okay, there's something. It's clearly something was really bothering her, and now she says, "My life and my people." Kinim karnu, we have been sold, me and my people. Leashmid, laharog, uleabed. For all those who've learned the Malbi, right? Leashmid, laharog, uleabed. This is where she's telling to the king the whole plan was different than the one you had known.
Right, this also relates back to everything we've been saying up until now about how the greatest thing that the king saw in Esther was that she was a person of no people. So perhaps her people being destroyed didn't seem like such a bad thing to him.
Interesting. Yafe. In other words, it's not going to convince him to save them. It's saying, oh, maybe if they all disappear, it would be better for me. Interesting. I never thought of that.
It's been sounding so good so far.
Right. Why not keep it going? Hey, they haven't existed till now. Let's continue not existing. But it is, again, a me. Remember that's the only thing that Mordechai told her not to say. This is the first time she's relating to an am. The king must be shocked. Your people? 1 second. You don't have a people. Right? I mean, this is. You said you're an over. You said you don't have anyone. We saw that in one of the Perushim.
That doesn't mean she's not from your nation.
No, we said, I know, but part of our explanation, we saw it in one of the Perushim, I don't remember which one. I think the Barbanel, who explains that that's how she could say she doesn't have a nation.
Yeah,
in other words,
also a big reason why she make up the.
now she got the position, right? For sure, and that was a major part. That's Mordechai's joker, right? That was his joker. In other words, how will she raise to power? Again, she may have been beautiful, but there were probably lots of beautiful girls there. What exactly?
Someone could just ruin it like that without knowing it too.
It could have.
It doesn't mean that you have to be very beautiful. It means that you got to play your cards right, and if you make one little mistake.
No, but Ezra, we're saying you're correct, but we're saying here what we said there, Batson, was that this was the card to play to get the king to like her, to say that. But now suddenly she pulls it out, and we're going to see what that does, because here Esther is maneuvering really to a new place. She's maneuvered the king. She's a genius. Okay, Esther is a genius. Well, now this is her plan, and it's flipped. Right? It says Esther. This is Esther now. This is not Mordechai. Mordechai does what Esther says. That's what we said from now on. Oh, whatever. Now they're going to mix in a second, but now she is suddenly, and the king is also a little shocked. The fact that she came to him was so shocking to him, right? That it was also a fascinating, and part of why he gave her the scepter in the first place was the shock to see this woman do anything. She's a smaltut. She's nothing, and suddenly she has the guts to come, and he's like, it's not a threat to him per se, even though no one else is allowed to go. But he's so shocked that he wants. It's intriguing. What does she want? And she plays him around for a day. Unbeknownst to him, breaking up Haman in that day that she does that, and now suddenly she's a very interesting lady. Suddenly she has a nation. He's like, whoa! But not only that, she brings that in the context of the king's benevolence. In other words, she's very wise. She doesn't say, I have a nation that is powerful. I have a nation that needs your help. I need your help. If you come to someone, I'll just say anyone, and you say to them, listen, I have a problem with you, that is not going to get you very far. If you come to someone and say, I need your help, please, makes you feel good. Makes everyone feel good. I need you. I need your help. You are the one who can save me. This is the time to pull out that I have a people. The people have power, but I'm bringing them into your presence as powerless and about to be annihilated. That's my people. They're not a people that are a threat to you. There are people who are the most endangered people that there are. The powerlessness of everyone. My people are powerless. I'm powerless. My people are powerless. I have a people, though. We're going to see how this statement is going to move ahead to more power as we go ahead. But I think we're going to stop here. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue. Yom Shlishi.